Do you ever have the FOMO, but you also have the self-control not to buy the books? This might be the show for you, The Drop List.
Learn from our mistakes.
Stay tuned. Welcome back, Gainers, to another incredible, exciting, fantastic episode of ComicGains! And if you're new to the show, I'm Adam.
I'm Zach, and this is Princess Royal Highness, looking very lovely today, just like usual, doing that princess way. You do it too. Don't FOMO, guys. Bow down, respect, and there's Coco.
Brand new haircut. All right, guys, it is Monday, and more importantly, it's Bro Tank Monday.
Bro Tank.
For some weird reason. It is. All right, the ComicGains crew is back at it again, finding those books that were hot or trending last year and giving you those updated numbers in the future. It's actually the present. We're looking back into the past of the future. Now that doesn't make any sense.
Talking about the past in the present.
Exactly. So what we do every Monday, the Gains crew puts their heads together and we find all these trending hot lists, any sort of speculation list, and the reason why these books were important 1 year ago. And we fast forward and we figure out the prices today and we see which of these books are a good deal to pick up. Maybe the speculation didn't pan out, or it was a really good idea you waited. So,
yeah.
That's how it goes.
Exactly.
That's pretty much how it goes.
And waited.
We also try a brand new beer. And it's a special day, so there is a beer.
Yes. It's a Thai-Town Cider Works Imperial Apple Hard Cider. I don't think I ever drank this on the show. I could be lying.
An Imperial?
It's Imperial. I am very kingly, or princely, or maybe I'm just a regular count. One beer. Let's get into it, guys.
The Count Dooku of beers?
I can count beer. After the sixth one, it gets a little
beer.
blurry. 6 beers. Yeah, it's pretty good. Very, very royal. Very royal.
Oh, very royal. You know what else is pretty good? Hanging out with us on Whatnot every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Adam and Zach will kick it off this week with an amazing show, 30-second auctions, dollar starts, and in honor of Hip Hop Week, Princess is doing a special Hip Hop Scotty Young show starting at $1. Some crazy deals. Maybe even some of these books will be up there. I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's get to the drop list. Woo! We're almost into December, right at the end of November. And number 5 on the list, we've got DC's Kingdom Come number 1, 1996. This is an Elseworlds book, which is coming back. I hear they're bringing Elseworlds back, which is pretty exciting. This is done by Alex Ross and Mark Waid. So if you've never read this story, the interiors are actually done by Alex Ross too, which is pretty amazing. Yeah. Pretty ridiculous that he was able to paint an entire inside of a comic, which you pretty much don't see anymore. You know, he did that Fantastic Four recently where he did all the insides, but pretty crazy. Why is this book important? Well, it's considered one of the best reads of all time. So a lot of comic book people will tell you this is one of the best stories ever written down for comics. So everyone should at least read it once, maybe twice. But in the importance of it is the first appearance of Magog, who, if you're familiar with the story, it takes place in an alternate reality in the future where most of our DC heroes are older. So Wonder Woman, Superman, The Flash, Batman, they're all old, and most of them have been retired. And Magog is this other hero who shows up and in the story kills the Joker and becomes a famous hero for finally killing a villain and getting rid of him, where Superman decided not to kill the Joker for killing Lois Lane. So not to ruin too much of the story for you guys, but that's his importance of character, and the whole scene sort of shifts where these new heroes that are a little more aggressive and they kill villains and kind of do the bad things, and the old heroes kind of take a back seat and they have to kind of come forward and kind of bring things back to the way it used to be. It's a really kind of cool love letter story to comic books. So yeah, basically this book got some heat last year because it's so awesome. We did get some James Gunn spec that it's possible they could be doing a movie based on Kingdom Come. I will tell you, throughout this series, there's a lot of first appearances. Like in this book, there's also the first appearance of Lightning, who's the daughter of Black Lightning. They don't really ever say hey, this is so-and-so Lightning. She's a daughter. They don't really even say that. They're just kind of in the background, and they kind of assume that we know who they are. So they probably don't have a lot of importance in the long run, especially it's in a different multiverse. But it has always surprised me how inexpensive all these books are, considering how great they are. You know, they're very, very important, almost like Watchmen level status books, and they're still really cheap, really inexpensive. But Zach will hit you on those numbers because it is number 5, so it's the lowest drop book of the week.
Yeah. A year ago, it was the golden age of comics for this comic. At a CGC 9.8, it was $180. And now it's the Dark Ages. For 9.8, it's $131. You can get one right now, today.
That's crazy.
Range 127 to as high as 600.
What?
Average sales 220. Wow. Yeah. Someone paid 600 for some type of 9.8. Maybe it was a new set. Who knows? I don't know. It was a 27% drop from a year ago to now. Not too bad. There's 710 total graded. 215 of them are 9.8s. It's about 30% of total graded. Lovely cover. All the other covers are lovely. I would say number 4 is the loveliest. Lovely-est.
That's just the one with Superman by himself. Yeah,
Superman get that chin. Yeah. Anyways, it's a fantastic book. It's getting a 9.8 is probably not the hardest book to get in one as long as you find a decent, almost unread raw copy.
Yeah.
Probably not.
It's a square-bound prestige format, so if it has been read, they do tend to get messed up a little bit. So.
Yeah. So you also might be able to find a 9.9, but you're going to spend 9.9 type of money. So unless you come on our show, if we put up a 9.9. Just saying, on Whatnot. Don't forget. Anyways, yeah. Not a bad book at all to get.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend it.
I like it. All right, guys. We're on to number 4 on the list. And let's take it back to almost the Silver Age. Avengers 85. And there's going to be a theme with this Avengers book. 1971. John Buscema, Roy Thomas. And this is an interesting book. It kind of depends on how these go in order. But this is the first appearance of the Squadron Supreme. And not to be confused with the Squadron Sinister, and I'll explain that a little bit. This book is the first appearance of them, and it is in the Squadron Supreme. You have Hyperion, Nighthawk, American Eagle, Golden Archer, who calls himself Hawkeye in the book, Lady Lark, Tom Thumb, Dr. Spectrum, and the best name ever, the Wizard. The Wizard. Ew. So in this story, which is interesting in Avengers 85, basically you have a small group of the Avengers that get transported to an alternate reality because of Wanda using some hex magic, and there's a super smart kid called Brainchild that is basically sick of the world because he has this giant brain and everyone made fun of him, so he decides he's going to destroy the whole world by shooting a missile up into the sun and destroy everything. And in this universe, the Squadron Supreme are in charge of protecting everybody, and this small group of Avengers show up there, and they tend to help him out and basically save the day. Overall, I didn't really think the story was that good. It's okay. You may like the story. I didn't think it was that good of a story when I read it. But why is this book important? Why are we talking about this? Marvel last year put out basically put out a note saying, like, we're looking for someone to play a Marvel Superman type character. And they're like, we need a guy who's going to be a Superman, but for Marvel. And everyone's like, who could that be? Who would be the Superman of Marvel? And there's basically 2 people. And you either have Hyperion or you have the Sentry. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like trying to guess who's it going to be, which character. There's, I would say, the spec based on the other characters that are people that are in the MCU, such as like the Grand Master and other things, and Wanda and all that stuff. You would lean a little more towards Hyperion. And so that's why a lot of people were guessing that was going to be the person that they were going to bring in. Obviously, we know now, fast forward a year, it's going to be the Sentry, and it's going to be Stephen Yeun is going to play him, and it's going to be in the Thunderbolts movie. So it's a little bit of a dead spec. Still a great book, though. I mean, you still should probably have this in your collection. But that's the lowdown on Avengers 85. If you were wondering who the Squadron Supreme is. Kind of weird.
Very nice. All right. It was Gucci a year ago, as CTC 9.4 was $960. Ooh. Now, $552. It became Eddie Bauer. Haha, I don't know if they made purses. I don't know purses. But I'm saying, it could be Eddie Bauer.
You love Eddie Bauer.
Who's Eddie Bauer? I don't know anymore. Range is 510 to 960. Average sale is 693. It's a 43% drop. In a 9.8, it has sold for $5,040, but there's not that many in the 9.8. There's 759 total graded. Only 10 of them are 9.8s. It's about 1%.
Woo.
About
Woo.
1%.
You could be the 1%.
Of total graded. Yeah, that could be it.
You could be the Hell's Angels of Avengers 85.
It doesn't have an iconic cover. The appearance is decent. It could be something, but like I've said, probably is a dead spec, and it probably won't be revived for a long time. It's like Rip Van Winkle, might not come back until like 100 years. Who knows?
Rip Van Winkle.
Buy it at your own risk. I like the book, but buy it at your own risk.
Yeah.
If you come around for a good deal, come all over. Wait, not this. Anyways, next.
All right. Number 3 on the list. And we got to do a rewind. Oh. Yep. Because now we're talking about Avengers 69. Oh, and if you're talking about Avengers 69, what else you got to talk about, Zach?
Avengers 70.
Avengers 70. Because they go together. You get a double. A 2-for-1 at number 3. And Avengers 69 and 70 is... came out in 1969, Sal Buscema this time, and Roy Thomas. And this is the first appearance and cameo with both books of the Squadron Sinister. So it's kind of weird the way this turned out because it would have been easier to explain this one first, but the way the drop list goes made it further down the list. And this is what's a little kind of confusing. I did some reading on the Squadron Sinister and the Squadron Supreme, and they kind of don't make sense, but they kind of make sense. I actually thought this story was really good. I thought this 6970 was a very good story. And it's also the first appearance, 69 is the first appearance of the Grand Master, who we already saw. He was in Thor Ragnarok, played by Jeff Goldblum. Killed it. He's like an elder of the universe, very, very powerful immortal. And in this story, you get Kang, who at this point, Ravonna Renslayer, his lady, got injured, almost killed, and the only way he can bring her back to life is to ask the Grand Master to bring her back to revive her and give her back the health she needs. So he challenges him to a game, and he has to play Kang, and whoever wins, if he wins, Ravonna gets healed, and if Kang loses, then he'll destroy the Earth. So basically, Kang puts together his group of warriors that are going to fight for him. It's all Avengers, right? Which is weird, but cool at the same time. And Grandmaster puts together his team, which he creates out of nothing, which is the Squadron Sinister. So the Squadron Sinister is only 4 guys, and that's Hyperion, Dr. Spectrum, Nighthawk, and the Wizard. Funny thing about these guys, they're all basically a play on the JLA. So Hyperion's basically Superman, Dr. Spectrum's basically Green Lantern, Nighthawk is basically Batman, and the Wizard is the Flash. So it's kind of funny. They do a battle one-on-one of each of the characters. Actually, all of the Squadron Sinister loses each one of their battles. They lose to the Avengers, and it's surprisingly enough, in the last run after that, they actually have to fight the Invaders from 1941. So, very cool story. It has a really cool, much, much better than the 85, I thought.
Oh, cool.
But, obviously, same spec. They were looking at, this is the real first appearance of Hyperion, and they're drawn differently. If you look at the Squadron Sinister, they're drawn evil. Like, they're sharper corners, their faces look more evil, their coloring's a little more evil. When you look at them as a Supreme, they're not drawn evil. So kind of a weird thing to think about. But Zach will hit you with double numbers, so pay attention.
Yeah, it was the summer of 69, a year ago, at $465 for a CGC 9.0. Now, you found out they weren't talking about 1969. Got a little nasty. At $232, you can buy it now. Range 227 to 576. Average sales 373. It's a 49% drop. At 9.8, has sold for $4,800. Pretty nice for a 9.8. Not average, so there's 717 total graded. 16 of them are 9.8, so that's 2% of total graded. I think this one has a little bit better spec potential for the 69. I almost forgot. I also got to say the 70. I'll run this through real quick. 9.2, 428 to 333. Range 306 to 449. Average sales 366. 22% drop. 9.8 has sold for $4,080. There's 630 total graded. 12 of them are 9.8s. That's 2%. So they're pretty much on par. It's just the 69 is understandably a little bit more expensive. Now, I think the Grandmaster spec, fantastic, has a lot of potential. I mean, they already casted him, so who knows? He should come back. He'd be hilarious.
He's like a national treasure.
He's a
Jeff Goldblum, yeah.
national
You need to like
treasure.
keep him in a little box and use him whenever you can.
Yes, exactly. I think that one's pretty good spec. The cover isn't that bad. The 70 is probably should be a little bit less desirable, but if you can get either one of them or both for decent deals, I would highly recommend it. But I don't think it's the best thing on the list. So let's continue.
Yeah, and just a side note, and when reading it, it actually doesn't make sense how they even become the Squadron Sinister. Becomes the squad. They don't actually even like.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they just like reuse the characters in from a different multiverse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a really weird thing at the end of the book too, where Vision's like sitting in this room when they bring him back from the other multiverse, and he like tells Hawkeye like, "Are you even sure we're back in our own like the real multiverse? Are we in a whole?" And he's like, "I don't know. It's okay." It's like, all right. He's like, how did we even went back to the right place?
It's like them being one team is on a Monday and one team's on a Friday.
Right? I don't know. Yeah, it's very weird, but cool at the same time. All right, let's get into it. Number 2 on the list. We haven't talked about Spidey this week. He's always on the drop list every week. Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man, issue number 9, 1977. Sal Buscema, Bill Manilow, first appearance of the White Tiger in Standard Comics, guys. Don't forget that his real first appearance is in the Deadly Hands of Kung Fu magazine, issue 19. Awesome freaking cover. And it's really weird to think, like, why all those magazines, like, didn't really, like, take off, you know? Like, why we're not all, like, reading giant comic books and they all shrunk back down, you know? We could have easily been reading giant books instead of these smaller ones, right?
True.
If the other one, like the Vampirellas of the world, would have gotten bigger. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird to think about that. But last year, guys, we had a special report from GiantFreakinRobot.com that White Tiger was going to be a character in the new Daredevil Born Again series on Disney+. Well, there's a lot going on with that, considering they basically like filmed 8 episodes or 6 episodes, and then Feige watched it and said it was pile of burning garbage, and they threw all the episodes away and fired everybody that had anything to do with that, and they're like, let's redo the whole thing. So who knows even now if White Tiger is going to be in it. At that point, they were trying to narrow down, because you guys didn't know there's 3 different White Tigers. There's Hector, who's the original male, then there's Cole and Ava, who are the 2 female White Tigers after that. Ava was looking to be the front runner, and a lot of people were speculating it might be Jenna Ortega. I know Zach was interested in that.
Oh, yeah.
But at this point, with the way Daredevil's going, I don't know. Hopefully, they're going to test the waters with the Echo show and see if this R rating does much better. Maybe they'll just go on the heels of that. I think would be a better option is just make the Netflix shows canon and go off of the 4th season and keep all the same people, hire back the same director and showrunners from the Netflix show and just do the 4th season of Daredevil, right?
Yeah.
Like, why would you try to beat something that's already perfect? It's not going to be better. It's not going to be better. I can guarantee you, I will bet anybody money it's not going to be better than the Netflix one.
And I already use a majority of the same characters.
Yeah, just do season 4 and make it canon.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. Anyway, Bolo on this one as well, guys. Be on the lookout. There is a 35-cent price variant. You got to know about this. Don't forget, it's very, very expensive. And we found that there is a Mark Jeweler as well. And you don't want to be skimping on the Mark Jewelers. And if you didn't know, it's also the first Marvel character that was Hispanic background as a superhero. So pretty cool as well. All right, that does a mouthful. Said a lot.
Yeah, what isn't a mouthful is telling all the good information about Amazing Spider-Man. Spectacular. Don't forget the spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
For a CGC 9.6 a year ago, it's $199. Now it's $100. Range $88 to $199. Average sale is 134. It's a 50% drop.
Woo.
A 9.8 has sold for 300. Not too unattainable at all. It was selling not that long ago for 800. There's 740 total graded. 180 of them are 9.8, and that falls in right about that 15% of total graded.
That's a sweet spot.
A sweet spot
That's
right
a sweet
there.
spot right there.
Right? Not too high, not too low, just right. I would say that this is for sure going to happen. I don't know which portrayal it's going to be, but I would think White Tiger should show up in the MCU very soon. Very soon. I think for $300 for 9.0 on this, I think it's a pretty nice price.
Yeah.
I think it's a nice price. Yeah. Even nicer, maybe get 9.6. One grade difference, maybe press up to a 9.8. Spend a little money.
There you go.
Not bad.
There you go. There you go. All right, for this next one, I need Zach to get his headphones to drop a beat.
Wiki wiki woo.
All right, number 1 on the list. And this was surprising. Very surprising. And this may be what you've been waiting for. It is Hip Hop Week. We got Amazing Spider-Man number 1, the variant cover from 2022, Salvador LaRocca variant cover. The interiors were written by Zeb Wells. This is the very fantastic Eminem, Slim Shady, battling Spider-Man in the 8 Mile rendition cover that was crazy freaking hot. Came out of nowhere. Amazing. This limited to 5,000 copies. Mm-hmm. This was sold off of Eminem's own website. Mm-hmm. He is clearly a huge fan of comics. I mean, he's done so many things. Did songs for the Venom movie, a bunch of other things. That just clearly likes comics a lot. He's been in a bunch of things so far. Cool book, but this was like the talk of the town. Like everybody wanted this book. And what did they do immediately right after that? They went and did, I guess you'd call a second print black and white book that was limited to 1,000 copies. This actually came out of a different website called thehall.com, so I'm not sure if that's like really connected to the Eminem's website or not. So it's strangely enough the black and white one's worth more, although I would rather have the original one that came from Eminem. Yeah. Very cool book, but this is kind of the FOMO thing, because I know at one point all of us were at least looking for it, or at least deciding whether or not we should buy it when it was crazy expensive. And I really forgot about it until we were looking at the list, and now it's number 1 on the drop list this week. So a bunch of you guys, if you were looking for it, this might be the time to buy it. Zach will get you with more of those numbers, but on a side note, don't forget, if you're a big Eminem fan, his first appearance in comics is actually Eminem/Punisher Kill You #1 that came out. Cool. It was a special mail-in offer in 2009 from XXL magazine, and believe it or not, that cover was also done by Salvador LaRocca.
Oh, really?
So, very interesting. And if you want to know if this book had any first appearance in it, it does, and it's a very crappy one. It is Paul. Everyone, you guys, if you know Paul, we hate Paul. Everybody hates Paul. Zach doesn't know who Paul is, but you hate him. That's the new Mary Jane's boyfriend that came from the alternate dimension.
How dare you?
Right? That everybody hates Paul. So, strangely enough, came out in this book.
Sorry, Michael. All right. It was Slim
Not
Shady.
That Paul. I'm saying,
it was Slim Shady Eminem a year ago, and for a CGC 9.8 was selling for $1,725. Now it just turns out to be Marshall Mathers, and it's going for $600. Range $449 to $1,725. Average sale $745. 65% drop. There's 1,012 total graded. 306 of them are 9.8s. It's about 30% of total graded.
That's surprisingly low.
Surprisingly low.
That's weird.
I think that this book, because it's so new, I mean, I've always said, I kind of dialed it back a little bit. I kind of said newer books are kind of like a little bit touch and go for me. There's some books that are just like, I'm all bored. Other books are like, I don't know, I want to wait, decide what's happening with this character. If you like Eminem, especially if you can get it signed by Eminem.
That'd be amazing.
That'd be amazing. I think that would be well worth it.
Get a remark from Eminem.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That'd be really bad, but really awesome. Yeah, if you can find this book raw, get signed by Eminem, possibly, I would say go for it. If you like Eminem. But if you don't waste your time. please. Don't waste your time. I don't know what this book's going to do. I have no honest opinion about what this book could achieve or what it could, whether it's become a stinker. I don't know what to say. I don't know. I'm not going to buy it. That's all I'm going to say.
It could be cool. You never know. Like what? That Alice Cooper book? You know, years later now it's all of a sudden like a pretty decent sized key, right?
Yeah.
And who would have thought? You're like, year after that book came out, they probably weren't like jumping in the bit for it.
Right. Just to be clear, I do like Eminem. I listen to him every single day.
Right?
Anyways.
Alright, guys. So, we didn't say at the beginning, but Zach also gives you his masterful opinion as the slab master around here. So what do you think? Pick of the week.
I think Spectacular Spider-Man number 9. I think that one has a lot of spec potential. Especially if you can get a 9A, especially if you, even more so, you get it in the price variant, or even a Mark Jeweler in high grade. Because Mark Jewelers command a crazy amount of money if you get it at a 9.8. Crazy.
There you go, guys. You're talking White Tiger this week. Mm-hmm. Be on the lookout for the White Tiger. And be careful of the FOMO, because you might have been one of those people last year that bought the Eminem book for $1,000. Maybe you're happy about it. Maybe you're not. I don't know. We did not pull the trigger on getting that book. So it's kind of, we'll see. Maybe we will now, though. Maybe we will not. I don't know. It's the same. No. Maybe. No means no. All right, guys. Thank you for coming and hang out with us on this Monday, listening to us ramble on about drop list topics. If you love us rambling as much as we love doing it, do us a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the notification bell, because we do a little thing where we go live every Wednesday so we can hang out with our friends. That's the point of the Wednesday show, is to hang out with you guys. So show up, kick it with us. Well, ask us anything you want. We may or may not answer it, right? Sometimes we do. Sometimes we don't.
Sometimes we don't.
But, Zach, you got anything else?
Yeah. You got to share. How you do that is dedication and persistence. Find what you like. Put all your time and skill into it. Make your own dojo, if you will. And don't let anybody challenge the dojo. If you come into your mat, bow down, respect, take your shoes off, bow to the master. Get those gains.
Bow to your sensei.
Bow to your sensei. I'm not saying I'm the master, I'm just saying.
Bow to your sensei.
Yeah, make your own dojo. Bow down, respect, get those gains.
Alright, guys. Until we see you next time, stay safe and remember.
I don't know. Get those gains. Ow!